Opening hook: Galactic Council in crisis. The vastness of space was a cold, silent place, filled with countless stars, planets, and civilizations. But today, an unexpected storm was brewing. The Galactic Council, a powerful organization representing the most influential species in the galaxy, had called an emergency meeting. The Council had extended countless peace offers to humanity over the past years, trying to bring Earth into the fold of the galaxy's grand alliances. The proposal was always the same. Humanity would join the Galactic Council in exchange for peace, resources, and protection from the galaxy's most dangerous threats. The meeting hall was quiet, filled with representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Alien species of all shapes and sizes, from the elegant and peaceful Arcturians to the cold and calculating Kirer, filled the room with their presence. Tension hung in the air. This meeting was supposed to be the turning point for humanity, where they would finally join the Galactic Council and take their place among the stars. But something unexpected happened. As the meeting began, a human diplomat stood up to speak. His name was Ambassador Daniel Grayson, a man who had seen the worst of humanity, but also its brightest moments. He was known for his wisdom and calm demeanor, but today his eyes were filled with determination. He was about to say something that would change everything. The council members were eager to hear what he had to say. The time had come for humanity to decide its fate. Would they accept the peace offers and finally end the long history of struggle and conflict? Or would they turn away, risking everything? Daniel took a deep breath and spoke into the silence of the room. "We, the people of Earth, reject your peace offers. All of them." A gasp ran through the room. The council members, used to dealing with powerful species and eager to expand their control over the galaxy, couldn't believe their ears. Humanity, a species still struggling with its own internal issues, was refusing peace. It was unheard of. The Arcturian representative, an elegant creature with silver skin and sharp eyes, was the first to speak. "Ambassador Grayson, you do not understand the gravity of your decision. The peace offers are not just gifts. They are your chance to survive, to thrive as part of a greater whole. You cannot afford to reject us." Grayson's eyes narrowed as he looked at the representatives. "You do not understand either. Earth is not your property, nor is it your responsibility to save us. We are capable of standing on our own." The tension in the room rose, but the ambassador was calm, his voice steady. The council was stunned. The rejection was a bold move, one they had not anticipated. How could humanity turn away from an offer of peace, the offer that had saved countless civilizations across the galaxy? The Kirer representative, a tall, reptilian creature with dark, scales-like armor, leaned forward. "You have no idea what you're doing, human. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Even the strongest species have fallen. You think you can survive alone." Grayson's face remained expressionless. "We have survived this long, haven't we? And we've done it without your protection. We will continue to do so." The room fell silent. The council members exchanged nervous glances. The rejection of peace was one thing, but this was defiance. Humanity was declaring its independence in a way that no one had expected. The silence stretched on as the council debated internally, trying to understand the motive behind such an audacious decision. Was humanity ready for what would come next? Could they really defend themselves against the combined forces of the galaxy? The Zorlian representative, a creature with an elongated head and sharp, silver eyes, spoke next. "You are making a grave mistake, human. Your species is not ready for the consequences of this rejection." Grayson didn't flinch. "We are more than ready, and we do not need anyone's permission to exist." The council was thrown into chaos. Some representatives were furious, their anger rising with each passing second. Others were unsure, questioning if they had underestimated humanity's strength. Some saw this as a challenge, an opportunity to prove the might of the Galactic Council. Others saw it as a dangerous rebellion that could not be tolerated. The council was a fragile union, Some species were more dominant than others, but every member had their own interests and power struggles. The unity was only held together by shared goals, and now, humanity had shattered that fragile balance. Some were ready to move forward with a more aggressive stance, while others were hesitant, unsure if they wanted to risk a war over a single species' refusal to join. Grayson stood still, unshaken by the chaos around him. He knew what he was doing. This was a moment that would define humanity's future. No longer would they be subservient to anyone. No longer would they bow down to the so-called leaders of the galaxy. The Council had no idea what they had just unleashed. The very fact that a single human diplomat could make them question their decisions, shake their confidence, and put the entire galaxy on edge was proof of something greater. Humanity was not weak. It was not to be underestimated. As the meeting broke down into arguments and accusations, one thing was clear: the peaceful days of the galaxy were over. The rejection had set something in motion, something no one could control. The fate of the galaxy was about to be rewritten, and humanity was ready to write its own chapter. The room buzzed with the rising tension, and Grayson turned to leave. He knew that the real battle was only just beginning. The peaceful offers had been rejected, but in their place, humanity had claimed something far more powerful: their independence. This was just the beginning. The Galactic Council reacts. The news of humanity's rejection rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. The Galactic Council, composed of the galaxy's most powerful species, found themselves in an unprecedented crisis. For centuries, they had controlled the fate of countless civilizations, offering peace, resources, and protection in exchange for loyalty. But now, a single species had defied them, turning down everything they had to offer without hesitation. Back in the council chambers, chaos erupted. The leaders of each species shouted at each other, their voices rising in a storm of anger and disbelief. Some demanded immediate retaliation, believing humanity's defiance would inspire rebellion across the galaxy. Others argued for a more measured response, unsure if they should escalate the situation. But one thing was clear: the peaceful order they had worked so hard to maintain was in jeopardy. The Arcturian representative was the first to regain composure. With her sharp, silver eyes fixed on the others, she addressed the room with quiet authority. "We cannot ignore this. If humanity believes they are immune to the consequences of rejecting us, they are gravely mistaken. But we must be careful. They are a young, unpredictable species. We cannot risk plunging the galaxy into war." The Kira representative, his reptilian features twisted in frustration, snarled in response. "Careful. They have insulted us. Their rejection is an affront to our power. We should strike them down before they grow stronger. Let this be a lesson to anyone else who dares challenge the Council." A murmur of agreement passed through several representatives, but others remained hesitant. The Zorlian representative spoke again, his voice soft but firm. "We cannot be so hasty. We do not know everything about humanity's capabilities. They may surprise us. Their rejection of peace is not a sign of weakness, but a statement of defiance. Perhaps we should consider why they chose this path." The room fell silent as the members of the Galactic Council mulled over this suggestion. For the first time, there was a crack in the unity of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. They had assumed humanity would fall in line like so many species before them. But this unexpected rejection had thrown them into turmoil. Across the galaxy, news of humanity's decision spread like wildfire. Some species, who had been waiting for an excuse to rebel against the Council, were inspired by the humans' bold stand. Others, particularly the smaller, more vulnerable species, feared that humanity's actions would bring destruction upon them all. In the outer reaches of the galaxy, a growing number of systems began to question their own relationship with the Council. Many of these planets had long been oppressed, their resources drained by the Council's demands. Some saw humanity's defiance as a sign that they too could stand up to the oppressive rule of the Galactic Council. The sparks of rebellion were starting to flicker in the shadows. Meanwhile, Humanity, still largely unaware of the far-reaching consequences of their rejection, was preparing for what came next. On Earth, the government held a special meeting. The top military leaders and strategists sat together, discussing the fallout from Ambassador Grayson's words. The entire world watched as news reports flooded in, each one more dramatic than the last. Many feared that humanity's refusal to join the Council would lead to war. But there were others who saw this as an opportunity to show the galaxy what Earth was truly capable of. Ambassador Grayson stood before a crowd of Earth's leaders, his face calm but resolute. The Galactic Council does not understand humanity. They believe we are weak, divided, and incapable of standing on our own. But they are wrong. We have faced great challenges, and we have always come out stronger. We will not be dictated to. We will not bow to any force that tries to control us. His words sparked a fire in the hearts of millions. Humans everywhere began to believe that their rejection of the Galactic Council was not just a political move, it was a declaration of independence. Earth would not be a pawn in the galactic game. Humanity would stand tall on its own terms. But in the halls of the Galactic Council, the debate raged on. The Kura representative was not swayed by the arguments for caution. Humanity's rejection is not a gesture of strength. It is a challenge. We cannot allow one species to destabilize the entire galaxy. The Arcturian representative sighed, her voice tinged with concern. We must find a way to respond without provoking a full-scale conflict. The galaxy is on the brink of chaos. We need a strategy, something that will make humanity understand the consequences of their actions. At that moment, a third voice spoke up. It was the representative from the highly advanced and neutral species known as the Synth. They had remained silent throughout the heated debate, observing the proceedings with interest. Now, they finally spoke, their words measured and careful. The Council may be powerful, but we must remember the balance that has held the galaxy together for so long. We cannot let pride and anger guide our decisions. If humanity rejects us, then we must ask ourselves, what is it that they truly seek? Perhaps peace is not what they want after all. Maybe they seek something more. The room went quiet. The Zinth representative's words lingered in the air, leaving the Council members to ponder the true nature of humanity's rejection. It was clear that the humans were not afraid. They were determined, bold, and fiercely independent. But what did this mean for the galaxy? And what would the Council do next? One thing was certain. The galaxy had changed. The Council had lost its grip on the situation, and humanity's defiance had sparked a chain of events that no one could predict. The peaceful order that had existed for so long was now in jeopardy, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. The hidden strength of humanity. Back on Earth, as news of humanity's rejection echoed across the galaxy, the people of Earth found themselves divided, but united in one powerful realization. They had just made a bold statement. The Galactic Council, a group of beings who had once looked down on Earth as a mere speck in the vastness of space, had underestimated the human spirit. The truth was clear now. Earth was not as helpless as the Council thought. In the quiet moments after Ambassador Grayson's shocking declaration, the leaders of Earth began to reflect on the journey that had brought them here. They thought about the wars, the struggles, the sacrifices, everything humanity had endured just to survive. Every setback, every failure, had shaped them into something stronger, more resilient, and more determined. Now the whole galaxy would see that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. Grayson's speech had been more than just words. It was a reminder of humanity's capacity to rise above adversity. The past centuries had been a testament to the strength of the human will. Earth had faced near destruction countless times. Natural disasters, brutal wars, internal divisions, and the endless fight for survival in a harsh universe. But through it all, humanity had found a way to rebuild, adapt, and grow stronger. Unlike many civilizations, humanity had not been born into power. They had earned it the hard way. It had not been easy. The early days of Earth's history were filled with conflict and chaos. Nations fought wars, and empires crumbled. The Earth was scared by centuries of human greed and violence. But in every generation, there were those who rose to lead, to inspire others to work together for a common good. The world saw figures who fought for peace, for justice, for freedom, even when it seemed impossible. From the moment humans had first learned to harness the power of fire, they had been on a relentless journey toward progress. The Industrial Revolution had fueled their rapid expansion. They had looked to the stars and dreamt of space travel, a dream that had become reality. But it wasn't just technology that had fueled humanity's rise. It was their indomitable will to survive and thrive, no matter the odds. They had learned from their mistakes, grown from their failures, and continued to push forward. And now, the universe was watching. The Council's peace offers, with their promises of protection and resources, had seemed like a dream to many on Earth. But the more people thought about it, the more they realized that accepting such offers would mean submitting to the will of the Council, surrendering their independence. The peace that the Council promised came with a price. Humanity wasn't ready to pay that price. Ambassador Grayson, though calm in his speech, was fully aware of what rejecting the Council meant. It was not just a diplomatic move. It was a declaration of humanity's autonomy. The Council had viewed humans as naive, too young, too divided to stand alone in a galaxy full of powerful species. But they were wrong. On Earth, the message was clear. The rejection of the Council's peace offers wasn't born out of foolishness. It was a statement that humanity could stand on its own. They were not looking for protection. They were not looking for handouts. They were looking for respect. And the only way to gain that respect was by proving themselves capable, not through submission, but through strength. The news of the rejection had spread rapidly across Earth, and soon, protests and rallies erupted in cities around the world. People were divided. Some feared the consequences of defying the Galactic Council, while others celebrated the bravery of their leaders. But one thing was certain: humanity was united in its defiance. The fear of war was real, but so was the hope that humanity could defend itself. Behind closed doors, the Earth's top military and scientific minds gathered to plan for the unknown. They knew that the rejection of the Council could lead to disaster, but they were also aware of humanity's potential. The military had long been preparing for the worst-case scenario, and now it seemed that their worst fears had come to life. Humanity had rejected the Council, and it was only a matter of time before the Council responded. But unlike the Council's assumptions, humanity wasn't caught off guard. In secret, Earth's military had been developing new technologies, innovations that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Advanced spacecraft, weapons, and defensive systems had been tested and refined in secret, far from the prying eyes of the Council. The human race had spent years building its strength, and now it was ready to show the galaxy what it was capable of. The human military was not large by galactic standards, but it was fast, adaptable, and resourceful. They had learned from every war, every conflict. The Council's forces, which had long taken for granted the overwhelming superiority of their technology and numbers, would now face an adversary that had learned how to fight with determination and ingenuity. While the Galactic Council debated their next move, humanity stood poised, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw their way. The rejection of peace had sent shockwaves across the galaxy, but it had also ignited a flame of confidence within Earth's leaders. They were not alone in this fight. Humanity had always been capable of doing the impossible, and this was no different. As the galaxy waited to see what would happen next, Earth's true strength began to shine. It wasn't just the power of their technology. It was the power of their spirit. And this was something the Galactic Council had yet to understand. The fate of the galaxy had just changed, and humanity was no longer willing to play by the rules set by others. They were ready to make their own path. The Council would soon realize that rejecting their peace offers was not a sign of humanity's weakness. It was the beginning of their rise to power. A powerful message to the Council. Humanity had made its bold declaration, rejecting the Galactic Council's peace offers, but the battle was far from over. As the political leaders of Earth pondered their next steps, Ambassador Grayson's refusal to bow to the Council sparked an urgent need for a clear, decisive message. A message that would resonate not only throughout the galaxy, but within the hearts and minds of every human. In a press conference broadcast live to the galaxy, Grayson stood before the cameras once more. His posture was calm, but his eyes burned with intensity as he prepared to deliver humanity's stance to the entire galaxy. The whole world waited, millions of eyes fixed on the screen, unsure of what would come next. The Galactic Council had expected submission, or at the very least, diplomacy. Instead, they had faced the fierce, unyielding resolve of the human race. And now, Grayson was about to make that message clearer than ever. Grayson's voice was steady, his words cutting through the tense silence of the room. Citizens of the Galactic Council and citizens of Earth, today I stand before you not as a diplomat, but as a representative of a species that refuses to bend to the will of any force. We have been offered peace, but that peace came with conditions. Conditions that would have bound us to a galaxy-wide authority, stripping us of our autonomy, our rights, and our dignity. Humanity will not trade its freedom for safety. We will not be enslaved by treaties, by promises of protection, or by the false assurances of power. The words struck a chord, sending ripples of shock through the audience. To the Council, this was an unexpected affront, a dangerous and provocative stance. But to Earth's citizens, Grayson's words rang with truth. Humanity had been battling for its survival for centuries, and it had earned its place in the universe without needing to submit to outside control. Grayson continued, his voice rising in confidence. We have rejected the peace offers because we have no need for your protection. We have been living on this world for millennia, building, evolving, and surviving. We do not need the Council to shield us from the dangers of the universe. We face those dangers every day, and we will continue to do so, as free beings. There was a pause, and the gravity of Grayson's statements settled on the room like a weight. The Council representatives, who had assumed that humans would fall in line, were now on edge. What did this mean for the future of the galaxy? What did this mean for their power? The galaxy does not belong to the Council, Grayson continued, his gaze unwavering. It does not belong to the strongest or the oldest species. It belongs to all of us. And humanity will take its place among the stars, not as a servant, but as an equal. This statement wasn't just a rejection. It was a call for respect, a call for humanity to be seen not as a fledgling race, but as a force to be reckoned with. The message was clear. Humanity was done asking for permission. They would carve their own path forward, with or without the Council's approval. The broadcast quickly spread beyond Earth, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Some species, already sympathetic to Earth's cause, celebrated Grayson's words. The idea of rejecting the Council's control, of asserting independence, resonated with many civilizations who had long been oppressed or sidelined by the Council. The notion of standing tall, of refusing to bow to the powerful elites, was empowering. It inspired rebellions, uprisings, and protests throughout the galaxy. However, the Council was not so easily swayed. The Kurer, who had long viewed themselves as the military might of the galaxy, saw humanity's defiance as a direct challenge. They were furious, calling for immediate retribution, claiming that the Council's very authority had been questioned by a species they had considered weak. We cannot allow this challenge to go unanswered, the Kurer representative growled. Humanity must understand the cost of defying the might of the Galactic Council. We will not tolerate this insubordination. The Arcturian representative, however, was more cautious. We must tread carefully. Humanity's message is not one of weakness, but of strength. If we escalate this, we risk igniting a war, one we may not be able to control. But the damage had been done. The seed of rebellion had been planted, and now it was growing. Earth's refusal to accept the Council's peace had set in motion a series of events that could not be undone. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of it all. Across the stars, Earth's message resonated loud and clear. The question was no longer whether humanity would accept the Council's peace offers. It was whether the Council would ever be able to accept humanity as equals. As the Council convened to debate their response, Grayson's words echoed through the halls of power. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's response: growing hostility. The galaxy, once united under the leadership of the Galactic Council, was now on the brink of chaos. The defiance shown by humanity in rejecting the Council's peace offers had sparked a fire that could no longer be contained. The Council, which had assumed their power was absolute, was faced with an unprecedented challenge, one they had never imagined would come from such a relatively young species. As the Council convened in the massive floating hall of their headquarters, a tense atmosphere hung in the air. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy argued heatedly, each voicing their opinions on what should be done. Some called for swift and brutal retaliation, eager to reassert the Council's dominance and send a message to any species thinking of following humanity's example. Others urged caution, warning that pushing humanity too far could lead to an irreversible conflict. The Kira representative, ever the voice of aggression, bared his sharp teeth as he spoke. Humanity has insulted us. We cannot allow such insolence to go unpunished. They are not only defying the Council, they are challenging the very order of the galaxy. We must send a clear message that their actions will not be tolerated. The Arcturian representative, who had shown more restraint in the past, now looked visibly disturbed by the growing anger around the table. I agree that humanity's rejection is troubling, but we must remember who they are. They are unpredictable, yes, but they are also resourceful and resilient. A full-scale military response could lead to a war that none of us want. We must consider all options before acting rashly. The room buzzed with conflicting opinions. Some saw the opportunity to crush humanity's rising influence, while others saw it as a moment to rethink the Council's methods of control. After all, humanity had proven itself capable of surprising resilience. Could this be the beginning of a shift in power within the galaxy? The Zenth representative, known for their calm and analytical demeanor, finally broke the silence. What if we are missing something? Humanity's rejection is not just an act of defiance. It is a statement. They are not trying to destroy us, but to assert their independence. They wish to stand alone, not as a lesser species, but as equals. We should consider whether this is an opportunity for the Council to evolve, not just an affront to our authority. The room fell silent again, as the Zenth's words echoed in the minds of the other representatives. Could the Council afford to simply reject humanity's demand for equality? Was this the moment to adjust their approach, to offer something more than just control? Or would they crush humanity's spirit once and for all? The debate raged on, but the Council knew one thing for sure: whatever they chose to do next would have massive consequences. Meanwhile, on Earth, the rejection had sparked an outpouring of support from the people. Protests, rallies, and public shows of solidarity for humanity's independence were taking place across the globe. People from every nation rallied behind the idea that humanity could survive on its own terms without submitting to any outside force. For the first time in history, Earth stood united, not just as a planet, but as a collective force. But the government, while rallying the people, was also preparing for the worst. Military leaders and strategists had already begun drawing up plans for defense. It was clear that the Council would not let this act of defiance go unanswered. In secret, Earth's military had been preparing for this day, knowing that they could not rely on the peace offers of the Galactic Council. They had quietly built a powerful fleet, equipped with new technology and weapons that would allow them to stand against the most advanced forces in the galaxy. Ambassador Grayson, in a speech to the people, addressed the growing tension. We have sent a message to the Galactic Council. We will not be cowed into submission. We will stand our ground. But know this, our journey is just beginning. If the Council chooses to challenge us, we will face them not with fear, but with the strength that has carried humanity through centuries of struggle. Grayson's words emboldened millions. Earth would not be intimidated. If the Council wanted a fight, they would get one. But this time, humanity would not be the underdog. As the Council deliberated, growing more divided by the hour, the response from the Kura became more aggressive. Let them prepare for war. If humanity believes they can stand alone, let us show them what happens when they challenge the power of the galaxy. In stark contrast, the Arcturian representative once again cautioned the Council. We must consider the long-term consequences. Humanity is no longer the helpless species we once thought. They have made it clear that they will not bow to us. But if we push them too far, we may awaken something far stronger than we realize. The debate within the Galactic Council was far from over, but one thing was certain. The galaxy was no longer united in its views. Humanity's rejection had created a fault line that could either lead to peace or total war. And in the midst of this growing tension, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The Galactic Council strikes back. The tension between humanity and the Galactic Council was now palpable across the galaxy. The Council had delayed their response, but it was clear that they could not let humanity's rejection go unanswered. They had underestimated the human spirit, and now they were struggling to figure out how to deal with the consequences of humanity's bold declaration. The Kura, still seething with anger, were the first to act. Their vast warships, massive and menacing, began to mobilize, moving toward Earth. It was not an all-out assault, not yet, but it was a clear message. The Council's patience was running thin, and humanity's defiance would be met with force. The Kura believed that a swift and overwhelming show of power would break humanity's spirit. They were wrong. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was tense. The government was fully aware of the Council's growing hostility. Ambassador Grayson's bold rejection had set a series of events into motion. But now, humanity was faced with an impending crisis. Earth's military, long prepared for such a scenario, had already activated its defenses. The fleets of human warships, advanced and outfitted with cutting-edge technology, stood ready to face whatever the galaxy could throw at them. The battle for humanity's survival was not just a military one. It was a struggle for identity, for the right to exist on their own terms in the galaxy. Earth's leaders understood that if the Council decided to attack, they would have to be prepared for a fight that could shape the future of the galaxy. As the first Kura warships entered Earth's solar system, human fleets were already in position. The defensive protocols had been activated, and Earth's new fleet of warships powered up their weapons. The Council's ships, although vast and imposing, were not prepared for the speed and ingenuity of humanity's forces. The Kura were used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, but humanity had learned from their mistakes. They knew how to fight smart. The first shots were fired as the Kura ships entered Earth's outer orbit. It wasn't a full-scale war, but a warning. The Kura fired at Earth's advanced defense satellites, which had been placed in orbit as part of the planet's new defense system. The attack was swift and brutal, but humanity's response was faster. In the blink of an eye, human fighters surged forward, darting past the larger Kura ships with precision and speed. Using newly developed stealth technology, they outmaneuvered the Kura ships and launched a series of devastating attacks on their engines, temporarily disabling the first wave of the Kura assault fleet. The Kura ships were powerful, but humanity's strength lay not just in their technology, but in their sheer will to survive. The battle was intense, but it was clear that humanity had already gained the upper hand. The Kura were stunned by the human resistance. They had expected an easy victory, but now they found themselves locked in a brutal dogfight, where speed and tactics outweighed sheer power. The Kura, confident that they would crush humanity with ease, were now forced to rethink their strategy. Meanwhile, the rest of the Galactic Council watched from afar, unsure of what to make of the unfolding conflict. The Arcturians, usually more measured, now found themselves questioning the Kerr's actions. The Kerr had pushed too hard, too quickly, and they risked pushing humanity further into defiance. In a private meeting, the Arcturian representative addressed the council. "We cannot afford to escalate this. Humanity's resistance is proving far stronger than we expected. The Kerr are acting rashly. If we don't intervene, we risk losing the support of the galaxy's smaller systems. Humanity's message has already struck a chord. We must consider a more diplomatic response before this spirals into something irreversible." The debate within the council was fierce. Some factions still wanted to punish humanity for their defiance, but the tone was beginning to shift. The Kerr were pushing for total domination, while other species in the council were beginning to see the wisdom in a more cautious approach. The Zinth, who had been quietly observing, were the next to speak. "We must understand that this is not just a simple defiance. Humanity has sent a message to the entire galaxy. Their desire for independence is not born of arrogance, but of pride. If we are to move forward, we must acknowledge their strength, not seek to break it. The galaxy is changing, and we must change with it." On Earth, the military continued to defend their planet with every resource at their disposal. The battle was not yet won, but the Kerr had been forced to retreat for the moment. Humanity had shown that they were not to be underestimated, and the first victory was theirs. But the war, though temporarily paused, was far from over. The Council's response was coming, and Earth would need to be ready. Ambassador Grayson's bold rejection had set humanity on a new path, one that would either lead to a future of independence and respect, or to a galaxy-wide conflict. Whatever came next, humanity had proven one undeniable fact: they would not go down without a fight. And this was only the beginning. The aftermath. Humanity's triumph. The dust had settled over Earth's solar system, and the silence that followed the battle was almost deafening. Humanity had fought, and against all odds, they had won the first battle. The Kerr, the mighty warlords of the galaxy, had been forced to retreat, humiliated by the fierce resistance they had encountered. They had expected an easy victory, but instead, they had found themselves face to face with a force unlike anything they had ever seen before. But even as the Kerr regrouped, the questions that lingered were more profound than just a military victory. The real battle had only just begun. Humanity had made its stand, rejecting the Galactic Council's peace offers and showing the galaxy that Earth would not be controlled. But would the galaxy accept humanity's refusal, or would the Council escalate the situation, plunging the universe into a conflict that could change everything? On Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. The whole planet had watched as their military, their forces, had stood strong against an invasion from one of the galaxy's most powerful species. The pride and unity that surged across Earth were palpable. People from every nation celebrated, not just because of the victory, but because humanity had proven something far greater. They had proven that they were capable of standing on their own, without the need for external protection or dominance. Ambassador Grayson, now a hero to millions, addressed the world once again. But this time, his words were not just about defiance or independence. They were about peace. Humanity had not sought war. They had not wanted conflict. But they had been forced to defend themselves. And in doing so, they had made a clear statement. Earth would not be a pawn in the galaxy's power struggles. "The battle we fought was not just for survival," Grayson said. "It was for the future of all humanity. It was for our right to choose our path, to stand tall as equals among the stars. And though we won today, the true victory will come when the galaxy respects us as we respect ourselves." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was in turmoil. The Kerr had been humiliated, their forces routed by a species they had underestimated. The Arcturians, who had called for caution from the beginning, were now facing the reality of a galaxy where humanity could not be so easily controlled. The Zinth, ever the voice of reason, began to urge the Council to reconsider their position on Earth. The Kerr, however, were not so quick to accept defeat. Their leaders raged at the loss, demanding retaliation against humanity for their boldness. But many in the Council saw the growing unrest in the galaxy. Smaller systems, previously subjugated under the Council's rule, began to look to humanity for inspiration. If a small species like Earth could stand against the mighty Galactic Council, what could they achieve? The Arcturian representative, who had always believed in diplomacy, stood before the Council once again, speaking for reason. We must adapt. Humanity has shown us that they are not our enemies, but our equals. Their rejection of our peace offers was not an act of war, but an act of self-determination. If we continue down this path of hostility, we risk losing the galaxy to rebellion. We must offer them the respect they deserve. A tense silence filled the room as the Council considered these words. Could they afford to admit that they had been wrong? Could they admit that humanity was not a lesser species, but a rising power in the galaxy? As the Council debated, humanity's message continued to spread throughout the galaxy. A growing number of systems, seeing the courage and strength of Earth, began to question their own relationships with the Council. Some began to pull away, hesitant to remain under the rule of a body that had shown such hostility toward a species that had fought to protect itself. But the turning point came when the Council, reluctantly, sent a delegation to Earth. Ambassador Grayson, along with the leaders of Earth, prepared to meet with the Council representatives, unsure of what the future held. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see if this meeting would lead to peace, or if it would mark the beginning of a full-scale war. The delegation arrived, and the tension in the room was palpable. Representatives from the Council's different species stood before Earth's leaders, the weight of the galaxy's fate hanging in the air. Grayson addressed the delegation, his voice calm but firm. "We are not here to negotiate peace at the cost of our sovereignty," Grayson said, "but we are willing to discuss the future of humanity and the galaxy. We are ready to work together, not as subordinates, but as equals. We ask only for respect and the freedom to determine our own path." The Council, shocked by the human resolve, exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, the Arcturian representative spoke, her voice soft but resolute. "We have underestimated humanity, and for that, we are sorry. We have seen your strength, your courage, and your resolve. The galaxy may be vast, but there is room for all of us. If humanity is willing, we can find a way to coexist as equals." And so, after long debates and tense discussions, the Galactic Council made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity would no longer be a subordinate species. They would be recognized as an equal power, a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The galaxy, once governed by the unquestionable power of the Council, had changed, and humanity, through its resilience and strength, had secured its place among the stars. As Earth looked up to the stars, they knew that this was only the beginning. The road ahead was uncertain, but humanity had proven that they would not back down. They would face whatever challenges the galaxy could throw at them, and they would do so as equals. The future of the galaxy was now theirs to shape.